And we will start close to the top of the hour here. Thank you. All right. It is a minute past the hour. I wanted to, first of all, welcome everybody and thank you for taking time to join me, Lynn Cuevas, along with my co hosts for this partner adoption webinar. My colleagues Mike Fasha, Rajiv Perumalsami, and Tanya Reyes. We will be your hosts for today. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. The topic for today is building integrated and sustainable supply chains, presented by Nihilent, one of our great partners at SAP. For years, Nihilent has been successfully helping customers in their SAP business technology platform journey, and we're lucky to have them co-host this webinar today. So before we start, I promised I will keep this brief, but I do want to quickly go through some housekeeping items for all of us. First off, I want to inform everyone that this webinar is being recorded. For privacy reasons, the audio and video functionality has been disabled for all attendees. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the Q&A panel to enter your questions and not the chat. We have our colleagues from Nihilent keeping an eye on the question and answer panel and will gladly type in their answers even during the webinar. However, at the end, you will have the opportunity to ask your questions live if you raise your hand, and we will unmute your line towards the end. Again, this webinar is being recorded, so if you have any misgivings about being recorded, you are free to drop off this call. As a registered attendee, however, you will still get a copy or a link to the recordings as well as the slides that are going to be presented today. So with that, we're excited to bring you this session. These sessions are meant to be impactful and beneficial for you, our customers. So at the end of the session, there will be a quick poll requesting for your feedback. The results of these polls will inform us of future topics that you have interest in. And with that, I'd like to invite the folks from Nihilent to present. Let me hand it over to Rajiv Dev, Head of Digital ERP at Nihilent. Go ahead, Rajiv.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. I believe everyone is participating from the US, so it's a bright and early morning. What we are going to do is we are going to basically take you through a journey of how we are helping various customers in the SAP space, especially how we are unlocking the power of SAP BTP. I mean, it's been a sea change of the way SAP is being implemented. I mean, if someone implemented SAP about 5 years back, it was a very different way of doing it versus today, where the tech stack is much more modern. The tech stack has multiple layers, and it's important to understand that power so that you do right thing right from the beginning. I think some challenge in moving ahead. Okay, all right. So let me quickly introduce Nihilent. We are about 2,800 consultants, 23 years in IT services. Primarily, we have SAP as one division where we handle the ERP space, and then we have data analytics and AI as the another division. These are the two large divisions that we cater to. We serve around the globe. We have a huge presence in US. We were born out of South Africa, so that's one of the region we are quite passionate about. We work in United Kingdoms and Sweden. That's where we operate the European region, and we do have sizable presence in Australia, apart from India. India is where the corporate is and where the army of consultants are sitting. We have a concept of using design labs in most of our engagements, and that's something very unique to Nihil, that you will see. We have three design labs, one in Johannesburg, one in US in Dallas, and one in India. And the idea there is that today the technology stack is very different in terms of whenever you are creating any workflow, it may not necessarily be sitting on a single platform. You go through multiple applications, there are integrations happening, there are automations happening, there is an experience built happening. So it's important to use some kind of a pre-tested model to design these things, and that's why we are quite bullish about how we operate some of these engagements. Let me give a brief about our journey of the SAP practice. We're quite old in this space. We have done more than 100 plus SAP S4 HANA migrations and conversions. On top of it, we have done 40 plus cloud ERP implementation, which include Rise with SAP and Grow with SAP. 700 customers around the globe. We are catering to, 300 customers and more than 700 consultants that we are spread across all these regions. Now, what is different or what is unique is the way these consultants are spread. We have almost 50% of consulting around the traditional functional and technical consultants, and remaining 50% is catering to the new age space of BTP, where we help customers build the experience, the automation part, the integration between SAP and non-SAP systems, and so on and so forth. Then we have solutions on the BDC side, which is more data and analytics, where we have DataSphere, Databricks, and SAP Analytics Cloud from visualization perspective. And we also are quite early in a business network space, where we have created these solutions in sustainability space, in Gen AI space for BNAC, and business network for logistics. Apart from that, we have many solutions which are there in SAP Store built on top of BTP. So our BTP competency is quite large, about 150 consultants working only on BTP space, and we have a strong point of view in terms of how BTP should be used, and that will be the focus of our discussion today. All right, so let me take a step back and sort of give a view of showing the future to how important the BTP and some of the other components are. See, the idea, you must have heard about clean core, right? SAP talks very passionately about how it is important for organizations to keep the core clean, so that all your upgrades, all your future releases can be seamlessly taken care of. And the fundamental of clean core is to ensure that we use system of record component of SAP, which is S4HANA. To the extent it is designed, to the extent we run the transactions and the base level transactions within the organizations. Beyond that, wherever we have things related to interfaces, things related to integrations, or we want to automate some of these processes, we want to create end-to-end workflows, we want to build in the experience or the user experience, customer experience, all of that should move to your layer, which is called BTP layer. And that's where there are specialized tools where you can build those integrations and create those workflows using low-code, no-code solutions. Now, once your BTP extension is done, then you move on to your business transformation using the data and analytics piece. And that's where you have tools like DataSphere. Now, Databricks is a part of BDC, and you have SAP Analytics Cloud for your visualization. So this is where you create all your reports, you create your dashboards, you create all your predictive models, and so on and so forth. And finally, when you move out of your enterprise, where you are connecting with your suppliers, you are connecting with your customers, your trading partners, your logistics companies, all of them through business network. So there is a method to this madness. There is a method in the sense, and a very strong structure that SAP has brought into this new product. We call it Cloud ERP and the extensions. There is a base layer of S4HANA. Then you have a layer of BTP where you do your integrations, you do your automations, you do your experience. On top of it, you have a layer of analytics where you look into all your reports, dashboards, and finally you have a layer of business network where you go beyond your organization. And it has to be done in that particular sequence so as to take the maximum benefit and performance with this product. So you have these clean core, digital core, where you either choose public cloud, private cloud, you do greenfield, brownfield, bluefield, depending on what your existing setup is, and then you get onto your extensions, right? So this is quite important to keep in mind, and this is where your initial assessment of your roadmap should happen. So the outcome will be something what you see on the screen right now. You have a current setup which has a universe of things that you are currently running. You will obviously remove some of them or archive some of them because you were solving the problems 10 years back. They may not be problems today. You will migrate the rest after separating out your integrations, your automations, your experiential layer, your data engineering, your visualizations, your collaborations. Once you have this list, then you know exactly how you achieve clean core, and how you get into a much modernized ERP. So let's get on to the focus of today's discussion. I'm sure you are all waiting that what is the power of BTP that we are talking about. And the way we depict that is there are 5 different level of maturity that you achieve in BTP. The first level of maturity where most of the organizations, in fact, almost every organization uses CPI from an integration perspective. So there is an integration factory that can be created. There are various different applications, non-SAP applications that can be integrated into with your SAP and create those seamless workflows fairly quickly. All the tools are available. There are different ways of doing integration, not only a point-to-point integration, but all sort of integrations in terms of service-oriented, in terms of API management, in terms of event-driven integrations and all that. So it's a much powerful platform from that perspective. We haven't seen any customer who doesn't use that one. That's what we call it level 1 maturity. Now, level 2 is when we create an end-to-end workflow where you have automated processes inbuilt, like PDF documents are being read and directly entered into the SAP system. There are quality certificates which can move on to the QM module and so on and so forth. Many solutions. The ones that you see in green are the ready solutions that we have, and hence we're talking specifically about that. Level 3 is when we start building the experience from a user perspective. We give a launchpad to the user so that if a user is running 3 or 4 different applications and that's what their day looks like, they should see a launchpad from where they can launch all these applications and connect and do their work. Then we get on to the extending some of these applications on cloud, where you can things like guarded procurement, things like custom Fury, embedded analytics, all those things come into play. And finally, the highest level of maturity is where you build a standalone application which seamlessly integrate at the back end with your S4HANA system. So these are some of the solutions that we have built, and we will explicitly give you a demo and show the real view of how, for example, IVEN, which is a vendor portal, how you can onboard your suppliers on a BTP platform by giving a self-service portal to the suppliers, and at the back end a business partner is created once the entire approval process runs through. Similarly, ideal is for the dealership side of network, where you can see the secondary sale that a dealer is doing to the end customer. Recon Hub is where you do reconciliation for all the payments and statements and so on and so forth. We have lot many such products which are built on BTP, and at the back end they integrate seamlessly. So anywhere you see a white space where you want to extend a solution and give an access to through a portal, BTP comes very handy, and that's the highest level of maturity, we call it, where you build a complete product on top of BTP. Right. So I'll take a quick pause, or maybe we'll park the questions for the end. I think that'll be better. So what I'll do is I'll jump on to showing as how we have developed these products and what is the reason for us to develop some of these products which are now available in SAP Store. Every such build starts with either a white space or a pain area that a customer is having, where the SAP solution in its own form doesn't cater to. So, for example, Ivan that we are talking about so we identified some of the procurement pain areas that customers were facing, whether in terms of a lot of paper communication happening with the suppliers, the onboarding of suppliers is not very convenient. There are phone calls and emails happening with the suppliers. Qualification rate is low, and this is the survey which was taken from all our customers, and this shows the degree or the complexity of that particular problem. So the idea was that how do you bring all of these into the solution, which is seamlessly extended from your ERP solution, from your existing ERP solution. So there is a portal which is given to the suppliers, and suppliers are able to onboard themselves. They can give all their financial statements, they can give all their product lists, they can pretty much share their bank statements and all those things, based on which some of the approvals may be happening. And then once the approval process is done, a business partner is created in the S4 HANA system. So it's a very very seamless extension of your S4 HANA system, and that's the premise of all these products. They start with some kind of a pain area, or they start with a white space, which is the need for the customer. So what I'll do is I'll invite Ashikesh. Ashikesh is the head of our BTP competency. He has been in this field for many, many years. He is himself is a quite hands-on person. He understands BTP in and out, worked in these kind of solutions, many more solutions that you will see. I'll invite him to give you a brief about two or three of these solutions, which will give you a fair idea in terms of how various customers across the globe are utilizing the power of BTP. Ashikesh, over to you.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks, Rajiv. Good morning, everyone. Rajiv, first of all, thanks for very detailed explanation about the BTP and the accelerators that we have developed on the BTP side. Uh, what I'll do, I'll share my screen because I'll have to jump into the
sure,
demo as well. Please let me
sure.
know once it's visible.
Let me stop sharing.
I have shared my screen. Please
Yeah,
let me know if it is
yeah,
visible.
looks good.
Okay, so as Raju has mentioned, we are going to give a demo of a couple of our products which we have created on the BTP. So one of them is vendor engagement portal. We are calling it as a IWIN. It is basically a collaboration of vendor and the buyers to do the digital business. And the modules which we have covered through this engagement is basically the vendor onboarding, tender quotation, and the PO collaboration. So when we are talking about why we have created this portal is basically so to do these manual activities, it is taking some time, definitely. To order something, it is taking time. Create the invoices, payments, audit, compliances. So considering all the pain points, uh, 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 we have created this digital solution, which starts with the vendor onboarding, where we are inviting the vendors, doing their registrations. After the approvals, business partners will be created, and once the vendors are uh, 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 onboarded to the portal, they are ready or participate to the tender process. So the tender and quotation, where we are covering the tender creation, tender release, RFQ, and the quotation approval. POs will be created to the S4HANA system, but if there are any queries, that has to be handled, for which we have provided a messenger for both the vendors and the buyers. And from there, they can handle the queries and provide the solutions. PO confirmation, which is one of the part which we have handled through the portal. And the shipping details from vendors will be provided, invoice approval. So all these things we have, kept it on our vendor engagement portal. Next slide I'm moving, and where I'm trying to show you the exact flow of the process. It's a standard process, but what part of the process will be from the vendor portal, that we are trying to show it from this slide. So first of all, it is seamlessly integrated with the SAP ECC or S/4HANA system, and we have another product which is Reconciliation Hub. We have created it as a separate product, but we can integrate it at any point of time with the IWIN. Yeah. So these are the supplier and the buyers. We have a vendor starting with the supplier invites. Once the suppliers will be registered to the IWIN portal, it will follow the formal approval process, and after the final approval, business partners will be created and suppliers will be notified. Purchase orders will be created in the systems and displayed to the customers, for which to the suppliers, I'm sorry, and the suppliers has to, then give their order confirmations through these portals, and it will be notified to the buyers. So subsequent ASN and ACS, wherever required, will be created by the suppliers through the portal, and it will be received at a buyer's end through the portal only. GRNs will be created in the systems, and then it will follow the invoice and invoice status processes. So at any point of time, if we want to see the status of any part of this process, can be easily, available through the portal, because we have provided some dashboards for that and the reports. Next, I'll go with a demo. I'll try to show you a couple of applications which we have created. Uh, uh, Here we have targeted to have some applications for the admin, so they can, create a users, maintain those users in a systems. So those users, they can assign the roles. So for example, for this user, we have, provided a procurement manager and the role as buyer. Maybe for this user, there is a different role. So this level of, here we have provided as admin. So this level of flexibility we have provided for the admin to, create the new users and provided them the role. So based on that, they can, perform the actions through the portals. This is the approval hierarchy. So as I talked about, it follows the approval process. So we have to maintain the approval hierarchy. So based on the request types, it will follow that approval. So for example, I have a request which is created for the vendor onboarding. So this is the workflow matrix that we have decided. It will go through the, procurement manager. Similarly, if there is a registration, there is a different level of approvals we have decided. If there are any requests for the payments, for that as well, there would be a different level of, set of approvals we have decided. Next, we will have the system configuration. So through the system configurations, we will maintain the destination systems directly from here. The number of master tables has to be maintained, how many tables are already maintained, and the configuration tables that will be decided through the system configurations. We have again our configurations, so where we are maintaining a data of organizations, the contact ID, senders ID, and everything. There are the forms that we have to show to the vendors while they're onboarding. So whatever the fields that we want to make it mandatory or keep it optional, we can make that provision through this form field option. Then the SMTP configuration, similarly some other settings. Following all the processes, if there are any errors, those logs will be maintained through this application of IBAN logs. Yeah. So now I'll jump in to the actual onboarding of vendors. So there are two types of onboarding. One, if there are existing, vendors on different portals, that has to be migrated to the IBAN. That is possible, and that can be done through this particular application of data migration, where we have provided an option to download the templates, uh, uh, put a data of vendors which needs to be migrated to the IBAN portal. So it can be those templates will be then with the data will be uploaded through these applications. After validation of those suppliers, it will be submitted, and then it will follow the another approval process. Next is we can send a separate request to the new suppliers, and for which we will use this request management. So we'll create a new request, and then once after the creation of this new request, filling up this some mandatory details, it will follow the approval. And after the approval, so this application of vendor request approval, it will, send one URL for vendor onboarding to the email ID of these suppliers. And from there, suppliers will fill up their mandatory details. They may, upload the relevant documents, and uh, uh, then it will again follow the approval process to create these business partners to the S4HANA systems. So this is the registration approval, which I was talking about. And this is the form through which, vendor will fill up their details. Next, I will move to the part of tender, because vendors are now onboarded. They have to, participate into this tender process. So this is the application through which we can create a tenders. And once those tenders will be created, we have to, assign the suppliers to the to these tenders. So once the suppliers will be assigned to the tenders with the relevant details, those will be notified, and once they will receive the notifications, suppliers will go through this particular application of RFQ request. They will fill up their details, and again, they will send a response to the buyers. So once the response will be received at a buyer end, those may be the multiple, responses from the suppliers. So for example, here I can see for this tender received two responses. Now I want to compare these quotations. So I can have that comparison directly from the screens. So I can compare it. I can check which one is a better, quotation in my case, and I can simply, approve it. So I can go to that particular quotation and I have option to approve it. So this is how this tender process will be followed, for which we also have a dashboard. We are calling it as a RQ dashboard. So to that dashboard, we will be able to see the status of this quotation, which one is, how many of the quotations currently in the approved stage, final submit, and so on. The tenders which are created with PR or without PR, tenders which are created for which plants, then how many tenders are getting registered, how many are yet unregistered. Then these are the 105 is the basically number of tenders which are released, and for the release tenders, what is the status of that? So approved, pending for approval, maybe registered, and some of the tenders may be rejected. So that can be directly visible to this particular dashboard of RFQ dashboard. Now I will move and I'll explain about PO collaboration functionality, where POs will be created into uh, S4HANA system, and once it is created, vendors can give a confirmation to those POs from their portal. So this is the application where I will able to see number of POs, and from here suppliers will have an option to submit those. So once those POs will be submitted, it has to follow to ASN and the ACS creations wherever required. So we have applications provided for that. So ASN is for the advance shipment notification. Customer suppliers will create these ASNs and it will be then notified to the buyers. Similarly, wherever the ACS is required, it will follow the ACS approach. Yeah, GRN invoice will be created into the systems, and we have created some of the reports which should be easily available for the procurement manager, maybe the quality manager, CFOs of an organizations from the organization side. So I have those reports here. We can see the report of GRN from this particular application of GRN. Then if I want to see the status of purchase orders, I can see it from here. Invoice payment reports, I can see from this application. So we have provided a provision for the reports as well in that case. So this is a demo for the Ivan. Now I would like to move to the next product. We are calling it as a reconciliation hub. As I said, we have created it as a separate product, but we can integrate it definitely with the Ivan. So why we have created this vendor reconciliation is basically to streamline and automate the complex processes of vendor account reconciliations, where there are invoices or the purchase orders where there might be the discrepancies. So those discrepancies should be resolved. So those should be resolved by raising the disputes, and then those disputes will be settled into the systems at a real time. So here we will have three important application. One is for the buyer to send account statement. Second is for the vendors to raise the disputes, and third is for approvers to approve the valid disputes. What we are offering basically as a part of reconciliation hub is disputes can be raised at a line item. Then accounting entries will be created once the debit or credit notes will be raised for a valid disputes. Then the number of approvers, email communications, you will have configuration for that particular setup as per your requirement. Vendors can check the dispute request status at any point of time through this particular portal. So these are some functionalities we have provided, where vendor can also download and see the POs. Then the buyers or the approvers, when they want to approve the disputes, they must have some proof of those disputes as an attachment, so they can see it at a time of the approval. This is the actual flow of this product. So where at a first stage, buyers will send the account statements to the vendor, then it will come for a vendor. So they will check the invoices. If they will find any discrepancies, they will check for the disputes and they will raise it at a line item level. As I said, the approval levels can be set up as per your requirement. So we can set maybe 2 level of approval, 3 level of approval, or multi-level of approvals as per your requirements. So for example, I have an amount less than a disputed amount less than 25,000 USD. I'll set up two level of approval. If it is greater than 25,000 USD, I'll have three level of approval. So there is a discrepancy, and that is why now supplier has raised a dispute request. Now it will flow to the approvers, and then approver will have three options based on which they can take a decision. So first is basically the dispute is not valid. So then at that time, they will simply reject those disputes and it will be notified to the vendors about the actions taken by the approvers. Next, the disputes are valid and approval are ready to take an action and they can approve it in a system. So at the final approval, credit and debit notes will be created at a line item level using Myro subsequential credit and debit note. But there is a third option where approver, after checking a proof of disputes, they found that the dispute request which is raised is partially correct. So maybe the disputed amount which is raised is of 100 USD, but they found that it should be a 90 USD. So they can make a changes. So at approval stage, every approver have an option to change that disputed amount. But at the final approver will take a decision and they will submit change that amount and it will send back to the vendors for the confirmation. So the confirmation whether they can accept or reject those changes. So if once it is sent back to the vendors, they can either accept it or reject it. So once it is accepted, then at that time the postings will be done into the S4HANA systems. So this is about our reconciliation hub. I would like to now go into the system and I'll show you the applications which we have created. Okay, so as I said, there are only three important applications. So one of these applications generate account statement. So through this, buyers will send a statements for a particular period. For example, I can select a period from this particular option, and if I want to, send it for a particular vendor, then I can search for the particular vendor from this list, or I can simply select a multiple vendors, select a period and send email. So that email will be sent to the suppliers. So through that email, they can click on a link and they can check the account statement received for a particular period. Else they can go to the application. This is an application for the vendors. So through this application, they can so currently I can see there is no invoice receipt message I have received. So from here, I can enter the invoice receipt number or whatever the items I have received. I can check it from this particular application. There I'll have an option to, raise the disputes. So I can raise the disputes at item level of that particular invoices. And as we have used build process automation. So that is why we are setting up the workflow from build process automation, a BPA, and we will go through the Mindbox application. And from that Mindbox applications, we will option to, approve the disputes which are being raised. Yeah. So this is about our vendor reconciliation hub. Now I would like to move again to the slides, and in the interest of time, I would like to show the ideal demo. It's a dealer portal which we have created. We are calling it, sorry, we are calling it as Ideal, which is our distribution portal. So as we have created a vendor portal for the vendors, this is for the distributors to do the digital business with the manufacturers. So this is a standard process which we follows where dealers request for a purchase something from the business partners and they sell it to the dealer. Similarly, retail will do and retailer will do, and dealer will send the products to the retailer based on their request. And at the final level, consumer will request for the or request for a purchase, and then the retailers will sell the products to the uh, uh, consumers. So what features that we have covered through the distribution portal is a customer profile, create a sales order entries. We have also provided here an option for the admins, then onboard those distributors to the portal, payment request creations, once goods received, if there are any, claims to be done. For example, there are any damages to the products can be claimed directly through the applications. So the benefits which we are providing here is we are accelerating the order booking time. It improves the customer experience and definitely it reduces the voice and email communications. There are some of the logos where we have already implemented this distribution portal. Next, I'll go to the system and directly show you the product, a demo of a product. So this is a dealer onboarding. As I said, uh, here we will first raise a request for a dealer onboarding by filling up the relevant details. So these are some of the mandatory details through which we can raise a request for dealer onboarding. Then it will follow the dealer onboarding approval. Same as IVN, once this form is filled out by the dealer, they will submit it back, and then it will follow the approval process, and those dealers will be onboarded to the portal. Once they will onboard it to the portal, they will start, do the business digitally. So first application is sales order, where they will create a sales orders from this particular applications. If I want to see the status of the sales orders which are created, I can see it from this particular tab, which are in approval, which are approved, rejected, cancelled, and new. If I want to create, I can create it from these applications. So once those requests will be created, it follows the sales order approval. Yeah. So here approver will have an option to, check the sales orders and take a decisions whether to, approve it or a reject. Once these sales orders are approved, dealers has to make a payment and fill up their payment details or the transaction details through this application of payment request creation. So I'll show you one of the requests which is already created. This is the one where they have entered, UTR number, amount which is paid. And once uh, uh, they will create this payment request, it will be notified to the manufacturer, and then they will, ready to send the products or the materials. Yeah. So once those products will be received, and if I found any damages, if I want to do the return goods, then we have created three separate applications. This is RGA creation. From here, we can create a request for return goods by entering the invoice numbers. So after entering the invoice number, it will automatically, fetch item details, and we can submit the request. Similarly, if there are any, complaints regarding the product, we can raise it through this product complaint application and same for the claim request. But everything will follows the approval process. So this is the approval process in this case for the RGA claim and product complaint. And these are some applications that we have created for the secondary sales, retailer registrations, then the order creations. But all these actions will be taken by distributors on behalf of the distributors, on behalf of the uh, uh, retailers. Yeah. So as I said, here also we have created admin portal. So admin will have an option to again create the users, assign the roles, set up the approval hierarchy, and that way the dealers will be onboarded and the users in an organizations will get access to the applications. You may see that I have access to all the applications just because of, to avoid a delay in logging and logging out with different set of users. So I have assigned myself uh, as an admin, as a dealer, as a supplier, as a approver, procurement manager, or the quality managers. Yeah. So this is about the dealer portal. I tried to explain about the dealer portal here. Now I would like to hand it over to the Rajiv to cover the next slide. Thank you.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Ashikesh. In fact, in the interest of time, I'll probably do it very quick. We want audience to ask some questions, and if we don't have enough time, we'll definitely have the answers offline. But basically, idea was we just wanted to demonstrate that how the BTP and some of the other components can be utilized in SAP. There is a core ERP system which is in the form of S4HANA. Then on BTP, if you look into the screen, you see all these IBAN, Icon, Ideal, iTalk. These are all the products which are developed. And depending on the use case, it's quite easy to extend the solution within SAP to outside SAP. And that's where you can bring data from non-SAP systems and also sync up a lot of activities. Similar solutions can be built on analytics platform. Similar solutions can be built on a business network platform. In fact, we have two solutions which are on business network. iMission is for it's on GTT, Global Track and Trace, where we measure the carbon in the transportation leg of supply chain. It's a sustainability solution already available on SAP Store, which we have built. and iAssist, which is sitting on BNAT, which is the Asset Collaboration Business Network, where all the OEMs have their user manuals, and the system can actually go and read the user manual and give user a very interactive way to chat and find the specific information. So with that, I probably want to take a pause. Maybe Ashikesh, we can move to the next one. Any questions? We are offering a free assessment in terms of how you can utilize BTP in your journey, depending on where you are on the stage of transformation. If you want to use any of the ready products that we have, we are very happy to give a 30 days trial period where you can use it and feel how the system can help you, and then we can take it from there. So Ashish operates out of US. He's based in Dallas. He's our local person. He roams around all US, would be willing to meet anyone, and he can be reached at the number which is shown here. So please, we can address some questions now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rajiv and Ashikesh, for the demo as well. At this point, we'd like to invite folks to raise their hand if they would like to ask a question live. In the meantime, we do have some questions in the chat. Some of them have already been answered. So I will go ahead and just ask the one that hasn't been answered. And this is from John. Thank you for the investment of your time. Our company is not SAP centric. Our partners have not been focused on advocating for BTP. We don't have much interest in it. However, I would ask for insight on when to develop customizations in BTP versus follow the quote unquote old way of extending ABAP and Fiori in the S4 system itself. Is there a decision tree they can follow? If the question is not a problem, please accept that. No worries. This is the place to ask these questions. We just want to get into position to get partners and internal IT partners aware of the capabilities they are missing. So I guess at the heart of the question, they would like to ask for insights when to develop customizations in BTP versus following the old way of extending ABAP and Fiori in S4 system itself. Is there a decisions tree?
Absolutely. I think brilliant question. So the way SAP has structured, keep the core clean. So fundamental principle is don't touch the core, right? Obviously, it's not practical. So you will touch the core to an extent that where it is bare minimum necessary, and hence the future upgrades also doesn't impact. But if your data is coming from any of the non-SAP system, then BTP is the perfect place for you to, number one, create a solution. If you are interacting with anyone from outside the SAP, like you are interacting with your suppliers, like you're interacting with your various partners, then obviously BTP is a logical choice because it's sitting on cloud and it has an ability to connect. So your integrations, your user experience is much more enhanced. Your automations can be built there. So if the use involved all these components, then obviously you go to BTP. If it's just a simple extension that you think it's looking into a static report, if it is just a similar small kind of a user exit that can be created on ABAP, then ABAP is good. But anything that is a bit more complex, like I showed you those 5 different levels of maturity that you can achieve on BTP.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I believe we have a question. We saw Anne-Marie put her hand up. Anne-Marie, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? Have we unmuted her line?
She needs to unmute, Lynn. She has access. She should be.
Go ahead and unmute, Anne-Marie.
I did. Thank you so much. I have a few questions, and maybe you might need to answer them after the call in a separate conversation. So a couple of things about our company. We've already integrated MDG. That was an endeavor that we took on last year. We also integrated with Cirilla SAP for invoice automation. And so I did want to get your thoughts about trying to do this type of PTP process that you have shown and how to integrate it with obviously costly projects that we've already done in the past year. I know vendor onboarding is a very critical part, right? It's the starting part, but since we already have MDG, how do we work within those parameters. And also, again, since we've already done and gotten our vendors used to our invoice automation system and sending our invoices, and I mean all our invoices, not just our PO-based invoices for inventory, but all our different types of invoices there. So I'd love your thoughts on that. And my third question, sorry, again, you don't have to answer them all here, but the third one, you touched lightly upon like when there is an invoice discrepancy and this approval kind of process and setting up a hierarchy of obviously employees that would be approvers. But what types of discrepancies are you talking about? Obviously, we know our discrepancies, their PPV issues and their GR issues and their quality issues. They run the gamut. So I'm not sure how robust the system is to be handling all those types of discrepancies, since we already have parameters within SAP that have like levels, right? Like we can't do anything with the PPV over, a certain amount, or we can't move on from a quality, issue on the part, things like that. So again, a lot of questions, but maybe you could take one or two and then we can address the others in a private conversation.
Sure. So I don't know, Ashikesh, if the discrepancy question is something that you want to answer now or later. Otherwise, we can take the other
we
one.
can take it later in more detail, but the discrepancy is like, if there is any discrepancies related to the amount in the invoice and which is actually paid, maybe the quantity. So such level of discrepancies we have identified, but we will discuss in more detail separately.
All right. And with that, we are at time. So you can go ahead and answer another one of Anne's questions. But I do want to make sure before anybody drops off, please take the time to answer the poll question. There you go. And on cue, Mike has put that up. So go ahead if you'd like to answer one more question that Anne had articulated. She had 3 questions, or obviously please put up oh, you already have it there. For any questions, you can go ahead and contact the Nihilan team. Do you want to answer one more question from Anne there, Rajiv?
I think we will connect with her separately.
Okay,
Because
makes sense.
her questions need a little bit more clarification on that front. So
Sounds
I've
good.
understood the questions, but I think I'll need some more clarification. So we'll connect her and answer that. And maybe I'm sure there is a way to share that question and answer to the entire audience. So we don't want to steal that information away from the entire audience. We'll probably publish that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that, folks, kind of brings us to the end of our session. Thank you so much to this audience for being very involved and interested in the topic. We'd like to thank our partners from Nilent, Rajiv, and of course, Ashikesh for the demo. They have these slide up on how to contact them directly. Take advantage of this free assessment if it does make sense for your company. And once again, thank you so much to everyone for taking time to join us. It is busy. People are busy with a lot of the things as they take vacation as well. Thanks again for taking time to attend, and we look forward to hosting customers as well as partners on these webinars that we have. Have a great week.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.